Today we're looking at Clara Barton. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Clara Barton was an educator and nurse during the American Civil War and would go on to found the American Red Cross. She was a woman that was always looking for ways to help others, and she paved new roads for women to have a more prominent role in American society. Barton was born December 25th, 1821 in North Oxford, Massachusetts. Her father, Stephen Barton, was a captain in the local militia and a farmer. Along with his wife, Sarah Stone Barton, they had 5 children, which Clara was the youngest. Clara was an extremely shy and timid child, and by the age of 3, her parents had sent her to school where she was very good at reading and spelling. And by the age of 10, she helped nurse her older brother David back to health after he had fallen from the roof of a barn. Doctors had basically said his head injury was too severe to heal up, but Clara took care of him and he ended up making a full recovery. This was her first experience with nursing, and by the age of 17 in 1839, Barton had earned her teaching certificate and she became a school teacher. She began to break out of her shyness and actually began to advocate for equal pay for female teachers. For over 10 years, Barton continued teaching, moving from place to place. She taught in places like Canada, Georgia, Maryland, and New Jersey. She also furthered her own education by attending Clinton Liberal Institute in New York. While teaching in New Jersey, she learned of Bordentown, New Jersey, where they didn't have a school. And so in 1852, she moved there and opened a school, and within a year, there were over 600 students. But soon the town built a larger school, but then they decided Barton was unfit to run the school because she was a woman, and they hired a male principal for the school. By 1855, she felt dejected, and she quit working at the school and moved to Washington, D.C., where she took a job as a clerk in the U.S. Patent Office. Here she faced discrimination from other clerks because she was a woman and was making the same salary as male clerks. She was demoted to a lower position, and then she was fired in 1856 for her political beliefs, but then returned to the Patent Office when Abraham Lincoln took office in 1861. As the Civil War began in April of 1861, Barton was working in the Patent Office, but when riots broke out in Baltimore as the war was beginning, several of those injured were transported to Washington, D.C., and Barton went to the train station to help with the wounded, and in fact knew many of the injured soldiers as they were former students she had had in class that she taught. From that day forward, Barton devoted herself to helping the soldiers fighting in the war. She placed ads in newspapers asking for supplies. She stored supplies in her own home and worked diligently to get bandages, food, and medicine to soldiers fighting on the front. By 1862, she was working on the front lines during battle, trying to help those who were wounded. She became known as the Angel of the Battlefield, as she risked her own life to help soldiers who had been injured in the fighting. At the Battle of Antietam in September of 1862, it said that she was giving water to a wounded soldier when a bullet went through her sleeve of her dress, missing her but striking and killing the soldier she was helping. Barton would be at the front during many major battles such as Fredericksburg, Petersburg, and Cold Harbor. After the war, she aided in locating missing soldiers and locating thousands of graves across the South. She then began to travel the country lecturing about her experiences during the Civil War. She began to fight for women's suffrage or the right to vote, and she also worked alongside Frederick Douglass and argued for civil rights for African Americans. In 1869, she traveled to Switzerland, where the International Committee of the Red Cross was located. There she was asked if she would be willing to organize a Red Cross in America. Upon returning, she began a campaign to get funding for an American Red Cross to aid people in situations other than war, such as natural disasters like earthquakes or hurricanes. In 1881, President Chester Arthur officially recognized the Red Cross, and Barton was made the president of the Red Cross. Over the next 20 years, Barton led the Red Cross, which demonstrated its worth by aiding refugees from the Spanish-American War. They helped people displaced by floods in the Ohio River in 1884, and they were one of the first to be on the scene to help people after the Johnstown Flood in Pennsylvania in 1889 that killed over 2,000 people. And they aided those displaced in 1900 by a hurricane in Galveston, Texas. In 1904, at the age of 83, Barton resigned as the president of the Red Cross, but even then established the National First Aid Association of America that helped to develop first aid kits. Clara Barton died on April 12, 1912 at the age of 90 at her home in Glen Echo, Maryland. In 1975, her home was made a National Historic Site, which was the first National Historic Site devoted to the contributions of a woman in American history. Barton truly led a life devoted to helping others, and many times putting the needs and safety of others above her own. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.